Hello and welcome to day 3 of Reset to Rise. I am so excited for today's training. Over the past 2 days, we have looked at the tools that you can use to reset your nervous system, expand your capacity, and break through any subconscious blocks that may be holding you back from scaling your business in 2024. By the end of this free mini course, you are going to be able to create in real life the vision that is on your manifestation board for your business in 2024. You will have the capacity, you will know how to create the momentum and how to get your energy behind taking the actions to build that business in 2024. Today, we're talking about stress responses and the hierarchy of the nervous system and why this actually matters for you as an entrepreneur. Well, first of all, let's talk about why it matters. As entrepreneurs, we are constantly being exposed to triggers. Our whole entire business can be very triggering because we are put in situations that activate old wounds and make us feel vulnerable. Hence, creating content, putting our ideas on the internet for other people to look at and potentially judge and create opinions about, right? And that we are emotionally connected to because it is our work, it is our ideas, it is our creations, our image, our body, our face is being put on display in front of people. And we all know how that can bring up old wounding and triggers. Then we're put in positions of stress, money management, client relationships, responsibility. All of these things are very triggering for people, especially when your security, your well-being, your literal survival depends on your ability to do these things, right? Because if you don't make money in your business, then what happens? Well, you figure out other ways to make money, but potentially the fear is, I won't make money, I'll be homeless, I won't be able to eat, I won't be able to pay rent, whatever. Bigger fear, oh my God, I have to go back and work for someone else. And I get it because that is an absolutely not, I don't call it a fear because I don't think about it often, but it's just not ever going to happen. I will never go back and work for somebody else. Like there comes a point in your entrepreneur journey where you cross a threshold where you just can't go back to work for somebody else. So you figure out how to make it work, but it's a lot harder to figure out how to make it work when you are stuck in your sympathetic or dorsal vagal response. And that is what you're looking at here on this polyvagal ladder, which is conceptualized by Deb Dana. If you do not know who she is, please go look her up, read some of her books. Highly recommend reading Anchored. It is a phenomenal book if you are interested in polyvagal theory and the nervous system. And great to just for your own education on self or self-regulation. So what we're looking at here is the hierarchy of the nervous system. Okay, so we see it on a ladder in the picture, but basically every day, like throughout the day, you're moving through this ladder. What happens is most people don't actually work their way up and down the ladder appropriately, and they get stuck in the sympathetic or dorsal vagal response. This is when you see things like overthinking, paralysis. I can't post. I'm avoiding my bank account. I won't look at money. I'm, constantly people pleasing and not setting boundaries and over delivering and undercharging, or don't know how, or struggling on sales calls because I can't speak up, or completely avoiding sales calls, or can't make a decision or a commitment to niche. Like all of these, in my opinion, and from my observations as someone who's been trained in this and, learned about polyvagal theory before it was a cool thing on the internet, like all of these, in my opinion, are a dorsal response. It's either it's a functional freeze or a freeze response. So that's what we're really thinking about when I say dorsal. That's when you are in a state of freeze or collapse, which we briefly touched on in the past 2 trainings. This is something I go into in depth. You will know your nervous system inside and out after you go through It's Resilient and Regulated, and you will know how to work with your nervous system and create a very, very resilient nervous system so that you can expand your capacity, make more money, have more clients. But what I have seen is that a lot of these behaviors of like, I don't know what to post, or the perfectionism of like, I know exactly what to post, but putting it out is really just a freeze or a functional freeze response that people get stuck in. Or on the other side of that, people are in their sympathetic. So this is where anxiety shows up, where it's like, go, 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 lots of busy work. You're not getting anything really done though. If you've ever sat at your computer and worked all day and then be like, I have no idea what I actually accomplished today, that would be that anxiety, like where you wake up immediately and have to check your phone and see what's going on. Or if a client, or let's say you do a sales call and they're like, I will get back to you. Literally all you can think about is that. And then you're like checking your DMs, you're checking your emails, you're checking your phone, you're doing all this. This is sympathetic, right? And a lot of the times we get stuck in one of these places. So if you find it really hard to sit still, rest without guilt, you're always constantly have to be going and doing, you're probably stuck in a stress response. You're probably in on the sympathetic ladder, the sympathetic zone, right? In that level of your nervous system. Or if you're in a place where you can't really get yourself to do the things, or you do them, but you're kind of disassociated when you do them, and it's kind of just going through the motions, or you find it really hard to get the energy up, or you're just constantly kind of like sitting on the couch, like numbing out and thinking about all the things you have to do, but not able to do them. Now we're in dorsal, okay? And the thing about the polyvagal ladder that you see here is that you have to move through each section either downward or upward. So if you're stuck in dorsal, we have to get you upregulated to move through sympathetic, because that's necessary because you're stuck. So we have to get you into the adrenaline and the cortisol that moves you into action to do a thing, and then get you back to ventral and the regulated state to create connection, to feel safe, calm, and calibrated, to want to socialize, to want to interact with others, right? To want to work on your business, to be able to problem solve, to be able to create. All of that happens in the ventral vagal state. It is very hard to do these things if you're stuck in dorsal or sympathetic. But if you're stuck in dorsal, we got to move you back up through sympathetic and then get you to ventral. Or if you're stuck in sympathetic, then we need to move you down through dorsal and then work you back up to ventral. A great example of this is a workout. You can see the stress response in action during a workout. So if you've ever done, I do HIIT training. I love HIIT training, and it's a great way to build a very resilient nervous system, because it's literally like a microcosm of you working through the stress response from up to the middle to down, from ventral to sympathetic to dorsal, from dorsal back up to ventral, okay? And what's happening is you start in potentially a ventral vagal state where you're like, okay, or even a dorsal state if we can get you into action to start to slowly move you. Yoga would probably be a better state for that than HIIT. But you work out, you get your heart rate up. Your nervous system is activated. You are in fight or flight when you are working out. It is adrenaline, there is cortisol, your heart rate is up, you are activated. Then you come to the end of that workout. You go through it. You get it all the way through till you literally can't go anymore, right? You move until you can't go anymore, and then you want to collapse. That is when you move into dorsal. This is when you start to go into the shutdown or the rest and digest state, right? And if you can process that state appropriately, you will move through the shutdown and the collapse phase back up to ventral. So this is why we do the warm up. We get it going safely. Then we get really, really intense with it. We work the stress response all the way through to the state of collapse. That is what it's looking to do. It is looking to experience the adrenaline all the way through to an appropriate place to then where the body says, okay, I'm done. I can collapse. I can rest and digest. And now I can move myself back safely to a ventral regulated state where I feel calm, connected. I can think clearly. I can move myself into action. I'm not paralyzed with overthinking. I'm not like so excited that I'm just like going. I can make logical decisions, right? Clear, connected, calm, interactive. This is what we are seeking. Now, there are somatic practices that I teach my clients. There's an example of one in the email that you received here of a practice that I did with a client and what happened for her. And these somatic practices can move you through the stress response, because what I see mostly is when clients come to me, they're stuck in either sympathetic or dorsal. And it's because their business has activated them to the state where they didn't process the emotional way through because they probably didn't know how, or they didn't even know it was happening. And then they get stuck in one of these places and they find themselves in these habitual patterns and cycles of like feast and famine in their business. So you have a huge month and then you kind of like slow down and you can't figure out why you can't motivate yourself to get back into action. Then you have a little month and now income is inconsistent, or you find yourself, constantly stressing about money to the point where you can't even look at your bank account and you're so freaked out to look at it. And now your finances are out of control because you haven't been looking at money, right? Or you're struggling to post consistently because you find yourself in this pattern of like going all in for like 3 or 4 days. And then you're like, God, I just need a break from content. And now I need to like take a break from social media. Or you're constantly over delivering to clients and you're scared to set boundaries and you're stuck in this place where you have to do the thing, but you can't. And now you're like burning out because you're just constantly on for your clients, right? It shows up in different way for different people, but I can immediately sit with someone and say, okay, I know exactly where you're at. So now let's walk through this very quick somatic practice, or I'll give them tools to go use on their own to move themselves through that stress response so they can come back to a state of ventral vagal. Now, all of a sudden their business expands, their bank account expands, their capacity expands because they're no longer stuck in that place. And they actually have a flexible and resilient nervous system that now can move through the states appropriately because they're no longer stuck. So many times when people say they're stuck, I hear your nervous system is stuck. You're not stuck. Your nervous system has a habitual contract with an emotion that you're experiencing with the hormones and the chemicals in the body that are happening from that emotion and from that experience, that you're literally stuck in an addictive state there. And what we need to do is process it all the way through and then use the daily tools to bring you back to a state of ventral vagal so we can make your nervous system flexible again and not rigid and stuck. So this is what you are looking at here. And it's very important that you understand this, because once you understand this, you'll be able to understand the signs of it, right? And we have some of the signs listed out here on this graphic, which you will receive a copy of in the email. So I want you to think about, where are you stuck right now? What emotions are not processing? What would happen if these emotions processed? Okay. So I want you to go into your body. I want you to just pay attention to your body today, be in your body today, practicing the same tools that you learned on day 1 and yesterday with learning the boundaries of your body. You should be doing these every single day. But today I really just want you to pay attention to where you are. Where is your body primarily living? Are you normally in a state of stress or agitation or anxiety? Or are you in a place where you're overthinking, you're in perfectionism, you feel numbness, maybe you feel avoidant, maybe you feel stuck, like you can't get yourself to do the thing, like there's something that you have to do, but you can't get yourself to do it. And that brings up feelings of overwhelm, but frozenness, right? So it's like overwhelm, confusion almost, even disassociating, like you're doing the things, but you're not there. Pay attention to where you're at today. And once you find out where you are on the ladder, then doing the somatic practices that I teach inside of Rich, Resilient, and Regulated, or some of the tools that you've learned here in Reset to Rise, are going to help you get back to a state where you're not, remember, the goal is not to be regulated all the time, but to build a much more resilient nervous system so that you don't get stuck anymore. Okay. All right. Go on to the email and grab your journal prompts for today, and I will see you tomorrow.